Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Nigerian Now on Echo Television, the program that keep you updated with the happenings that are happening currently in the country. I am Stella Elisha Dasham. Do remember we are live on Facebook and YouTube, so you can actually watch there and drop your views, your opinion concerning some of the matters we would love to discuss this afternoon. And I'll be doing the program alongside Rachel Tansy. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Sally.
All right, we have a number of issues on our plate and we hope to tackle them before the end of the show. Already, we know it's already that time of the year, it's the rainy season, and already the issue of cholera outbreak is there. Yesterday, we saw where over 30 patients were being affected by it in Lagos, but as it is presently, about over 1,000 patients have been affected by cholera in almost 10 states, and we think it's important that we bring it to the table, discuss it, and then we can see, even give you a little tips. Not that we are health practitioners, but we think it's important that we just give you some heads up what you need to do and how you can also protect yourself, as well as the issue of the minimum wage is taking another turn that we really do not understand the way forward, where we are seeing labor is coming out to say they did not have any agreement with the federal government concerning the new minimum wage. As we will recall, yesterday during the President Democracy Day speech, he made mention of the fact that they have gotten to an agreement with labor concerning it, and he will be submitting the template to the National House of Assembly. But labor is coming out to say they did not have any agreement whatsoever. So please drop your view concerning these two crucial matters we would love to discuss. But let's start with the issue of health, Rachel. I mean, yesterday we saw that in Lagos on the paper, some of the cases that it's out there, and then we're seeing that as it is presently, over 10 states right now have been affected. In fact, the issue of this over 1,000 is just in the first half of the year. That's talking about from January 1st to June 1st. So that is to say, before the end of June, we do not know how many more people will actually fall victim. And already we're having a number of deaths. Talking about the issue, I think we had a number of it as well. But then I think it's very crucial that we talk about cholera outbreak. I mean, jokingly, I think 2 days back, I was talking to some people and I was like, we need to be very careful with water, fruits, vegetable, because those are the, I think, two ways you can actually get contact the issue of cholera. I can actually talk about that, Richard, because I am a survivor of that, and I really know what cholera can actually do to you. Funny enough, you might think that you've done all you need to do, especially maybe thoroughly washing your fruits and all of that, but there are ways, there are measures you need to actually take. So it's more like the same measure you take for typhoid. That was what I was looking at it. Is what you have to do for cholera, and we know the way cholera does. You have diarrhea, lose stool, you're throwing up, you're losing water, and if care is not taken, when it gets to the extreme, you can actually lose your life. And I think it's really something that the various commissioners of health at the state level need to do something about it. And then we can see that from the state level, they can actually graduate and go down to the rural areas, because funny enough, those in the rural areas don't even fall sick to these things like those in the urban area.
Yeah.
We tend to wonder maybe their system have developed a resistance to all of these things, especially now that it's a season for mangoes, pears, and then you just eat everything up, and then you really do not
Exactly.
take caution. But I think it's really important that everybody should be very, very careful what they ingest in fettuccine.
It only makes sense that we suffer that more at the urban areas and the rural areas. Like, I've seen where a sugarcane seller was fetching water from drainage to pour on his sugarcane, just because the drainage water is passing and it looks clean, it looks pure, you can see through it, doesn't mean it's clear. I've seen situations like that, and we are careless. Let's tell ourselves the truth. When it comes to food consumption and all of that, an average Nigerian is very careless. We buy food, open food, and we consume it immediately. I see people buy coconut that has been cut, that has been pouring. You don't know the source of the water that the coconut seller have been trying to send flies away. I've seen people literally buy it and just start eating it. Do you have to wait till you know what cholera is, or until you fight typhoid before you become careful? I think we are not careful when it comes to our hygiene, even when it comes to food. And then it is the season now because it's also a waterborne disease. I think that's one of the main sources. The
Yes.
water we use, the source, everything that we use that is water related, and that is why it's high at this period of time, because this is the period of time we have more flies. And we know what these flies do. They perch on one dirty thing to another, and they stay on that. They don't respect your food no matter how clean. Even you could be smelling so nice, and you will see a fly flowing, and you will wonder, am I smelling bad? No, they don't respect how clean you look or something like that. And it's the same with our food. So I see carelessness from us, and just as you said, Sele, the challenge here is that we are not careful. Also, we are not careful when it comes to this. We're not health practitioners, as you said, and of course, we're not here to give you medical terms or doctor advice. No, we're just trying to say it's mostly through food. You have to be careful. Maybe now in this season, rather than taking the salads raw, maybe we can't say don't take vegetables anymore, but more of go for the steamed vegetables now rather than the raw one, if that will help. Because I know, yes, you need to take your vegetables, you need the salads and all of that. And even when you get your fruits, no matter how clean the vendor looks like, there have been flies perching, moving around, and nobody can be effective enough or efficient enough to be taking those flies away. Then secondly, I think that we've mentioned that when it comes to health a lot, that there's a gap in information. I think when a season of a certain thing is approaching, people need to have a wake up call like, remember, we're about stepping into the raining season. These are the diseases, the bacteria, the germs, the sicknesses that usually affect people in this period of time, and it can be deadly. So eat like this and don't eat like that. The reason being is that we can life, Seller, we forget a lot of things. We can't claim to be perfect. You always
True.
remember. Sometimes you get carried away. You forget that, okay, certain problems come with certain seasons, like just like the Harmattan. I know when it comes to you are always careful. You just make sure you're always with your nose mask, because it also comes with its own airborne kind of sicknesses at that period of time. So I believe that there's always need for sensitization. I think we get tired of doing our work when we are not supposed to be tired. We have radio stations, television stations, state-owned one, private.
True.
It's our responsibility to take care of each other, because you know what? These things also spread. They are communicable like in a lot of way, because they spread. Some are airborne, some, if one person is affected and is close to you, you too, you will get it. So why do we feel that we don't have the responsibility of reminding each other that, look, this season is approaching. It is a season for this. Let's change how we eat. Let's change how we store food. Let's change how we do certain things. This should also be the sole responsibility of the Ministry of Health, in my opinion, when it comes to educating the general public when seasons are beginning to approach, that certain sicknesses could be a problem to people. And then we can make headway like regarding reducing this kind of numbers of casualties and deaths.
You know, Rachel, I remember during the COVID, when you visit, especially mosques, you tend to see a water basin
Yes.
for kids to wash their hands after. In fact, even not just kids, sometimes you had to be walking around with hand sanitizer.
Yes,
Every
and all
little
of that.
handshake you spray. So what happened right now? And we are so relaxed about the
Yes.
whole thing. Do we feel that? I mean, does that mean that because there is no COVID, does that mean that there are no other
it's still
illnesses
there.
that are
Yeah.
just like you said? You cannot be extra careful, and that's why we say we just give you a little thing like for your vegetables. In as much as you wash it, because you really cannot tell how those vegetables were harvested, you can just take an extra mile with salt. Make sure
Yes.
you wash it thoroughly,
Double rinse with
double
salt
rinse,
all
and
of
make
that,
sure you
yeah.
really wash it. You cannot really say running water, because not everybody can actually have the
Yes.
running tap and all of that. But make sure right now in the rainy season there are lots of water everywhere. I mean, it's the dry season, we could say that we do not have so much, but right now there is water. Make sure when you're getting your water, it's clean. Your fruit, wash it. After using the restroom, shaking people, just wash your hand. Just do what you can do. Personally, I think when we take that step, we'll be able to reduce the number. So just like I said, right now it's just in 10 states, but I'm hoping that with these 10 states, it will be a wake-up call for other states, Plateau State, Benue, and all of that, especially places that we know they are close to all these riverine areas that can give room to things that they are not supposed to be. So I just hope that with this little advice coming from you and I,
hope
Rachel,
so,
it will
yes.
help the entire public to just do what they need to do to protect themselves. Now we know that in the mouth of almost everybody right now, the issue of minimum wage is just the whole thing. In fact, yesterday you and I were saying that Nigerians do not care about what is happening in the country, as far as they can just know how much are we collecting as minimum wage. But you know the whole thing about new minimum wage, each time we have the issue being raised, what is in the minds of most people is the fact that, how about our politicians? Maybe for the first 2 months, they should try collecting the same minimum wage they are suggesting. So I can imagine the governor of my state collecting 62,000 naira, for example, as his minimum wage. And let us see how far this amount will be able to sustain you for the first 2 months. Maybe that will give you an idea what people are going through. Right now, we're seeing that the government, the federal government, is actually warning, admonishing labor that, please, what you are demanding for, we are heading to doom, because what it implies is the fact that a number of Nigerians will lose their job. There's going to be a mass sacking. People will say we cannot afford this number of staff, therefore we need to reduce them, and all of that. I know I started the conversation in the morning, but I still want to ask the same question. What are the government doing about this? Yes, I know. I mean, you and I have said this, I think from last year, or was it beginning of this year, when the whole issue of minimum wage started. We said, of course, we know that there is a particular amount of money that might look unreasonable. And you and I know that, of course, as a country, we might not be able to afford this, looking at the workforce. But then looking at what the step, or looking at the step Labour have taken, so you know what, it's 250. And it looks as if there is a breach of communication again, because the federal government is saying they have concluded, and Labour is saying we have not concluded anything. So it seems the conclusion took place between the federal government and the private sector. Labour is not aware of that conclusion as far as they are concerned. But already the federal government or the president is saying that he's going to submit this to the National Assembly. But this is the whole issue right now. With the issue of inflation, with the issue of production, with the issue of so many things that are happening, and then yet looking at the amount of money that the federal government is suggesting, I just hope that you will just tell Nigerians how much this whole minimum wage is, so that we can actually know our standing, either as a civil servant or as a private sector worker. Because one thing you and I know for sure is that whatever Labour or the federal government suggests as minimum wage will actually tell how much private sector will start paying henceforth. So whether you still have your job or not is what you will know eventually after this minimum wage. But the bottom of this whole thing is the fact that, what is the government doing beyond just telling Labour to be considerate? What are they doing in their own part? Because it's one thing for you to tell the other party, you know what, why don't you take 2 steps forward? But as the federal government, how many steps forward have they taken to meet Labour on the way? So it's just for you telling Labour, take 80 steps, and then we're just ready to take 2 steps. And I think it's not realistic, it's not fair in every level. But right now, the question to the federal government, what are they doing? Because I know this is concern for a number of Nigerians. I was in a public transport, I think, on Monday or so, and a number of casual stars were just gisting. I couldn't help but listening to them. And they're like, right now, they are just waiting for what the new minimum wage will be. This will determine whether they will be full staff or not in their own organization. And I can actually tell the pain they are going through, because right now they are just standing on 1-2, because they do not even know the next step. Employment, according to them, employment was supposed to start in May, but because of the back and forth, from the way things are looking, maybe till October or November, they will know their fate. So these are concerns that a number of people are raising concerning this whole issue of the new minimum wage. But I just need an answer from the federal government. How far can they go when it comes to, making a reasonable amount, so that Nigerians can just say, okay, you know what, we have something to take home at the end of the day.
Stella, the federal government have not tried, and they're already assuming. For me, this already says a lot concerning our government. Have you tried? Have you tried for a year? I've seen situations whereby a company started, for example, and their pay was good. But over the years, having one evaluation or another, saying that the company's target was not expected, did not come out revenue generation, the target was evaluated after a short period of time, and the company will call its staff and say, look, this is our report. We are running at this, we are running at that, we are running at this. We cannot keep up yet with 50, with 100,000 naira as your salary. But rather than laying you off,
yes.
you would stay. We are slashing it down. We're taking 30%, 20%, 50%. Let's see what the next cycle will mean for the company and how we can begin to start slowly raising your income and all of that. Why are we not hearing such from the Nigerian government, Sele? Why are you not giving it a try? You're already saying because why you have no plan whatsoever to do good by Nigerians. Fine, 250 is too much, you say. 60,000 is too little, Labour is saying, and that is a fact for sure. So what is the best thing you're supposed to do? You come out and say, okay, fine, 150,000 is too much for us, but we are going to start from there. Let's see what the economic season or what the cycle of 1 year will be for us from June now to June 2025. Let's give Nigerians these wages and let's see. If we truly cannot do it, we sit down and go back. That's how governance is. I believe that our politicians are too lazy to do their job, Sele. They are too lazy to do their job. Nobody actually want to be out there and do his job as expected. So when you see a simple thing, in my opinion, because it's not one person that is going to do it, it's a teamwork, it's a group of work. When you see things that people are supposed to sit down and deliberate, they refuse to. Why? Because we have a government that would rather pay citizens 60,000 despite seeing the fact that it will not do anything, rather than putting it high and see how things go, rather than putting it high. What are you working? Are you not working hard on oil theft for us to see that our oil production increases? What is the reason behind OPEC's cut? Is to see that oil price per barrel become high, which automatically means that for oil countries, their member state will be able to start having higher revenue. Are you not putting all of those things in place? Are you not putting out all the workforce to see that the percentage keep reducing? What are you doing about agriculture? Are you trying to tell me that within 1 year we cannot boost our agricultural sector to the extent that it generates enough revenue for us that will go through that will be able to improve the wages that people receive? Are we trying to tell us that we cannot in 1 year invest immensely in mineral resources and then see better dividends and revenues being generated? What are we trying to say that we cannot do within 1 year that cannot change this country? Are we trying to tell ourselves that our refineries cannot work within 1 year? Are they trying to tell us that we cannot get a refinery running, that it will reduce the cost of importation of oil into the country, that we start refining and consuming, which automatically reduce fuel pump prices and all of that? Is the Nigerian government trying to tell me that they cannot work day and night to see that certain things change within a short period of time for the good of this country? For me, is until we get to that point where we have leaders that want to work there, and I know that they want to disappear. Not like how we see in Niger State, over 70% of officials, the governor leaving the state, going on Hajj. Who is to run it for that period of time? And we know that within 1 day, a lot can happen within a state, that everything can just go crazy and upside down and all of that. This, for me, anytime I see certain things on the paper, is just it just reflects our leaders on a lot of level, because I know what can be done within a year. I know the change that can happen in our economy within a period of time for us to see certain kind of growth, to see a revenue boost and all of that. It will not be magic, but it can happen. Why are you not trying to give it a try? Why do you just want to stay on the lower side, knowing fully well that this is not going to ease the hardship of Nigerians? Why are our government so strong-headed and just comfortable with the hardship in this country, because that's what I can see, and that's what is evident in their actions as far as I'm concerned. We'll just wait and see what will be the we have to keep waiting, because I find myself always saying we have to wait and see. But in the end, what can we do? Labour have to wait and see. Of course, they never came to an agreement. The tripartite committee never came out and said this is the minimum wage. We never saw what the template was when that Wale Edun submitted to the president. We didn't see any of that. So yes, NLC is not lying, because they also don't know what minimum wage was agreed upon that the president is claiming that the Senate will come out with it very soon. They do not know. So as it is now, everybody's on the dark and nobody really understands. We do right, but we'll just let it be at where it is, that okay, the government is on the case. But a lot can happen within a short period of time. I just hope that we will eventually have very sensible leaders that really care about what Nigerians are going through.
Richard, I think the problem we have in this country, which you've already ruled out, including the private sector, I think they are the main problem we are having concerning the issue of this minimum wage, because I am not seeing the OPS, the operational private sector, making a move to shift from 62,000 Richard. In fact, at 62,000, it looks more like they are bending their arm to force them to pay that money. And this is the same sector that exploits their staff. This is the sector that you keep giving your best, and yet you cannot even say it for sure. You and I mentioned a number of private schools. How much right now at primary? I can tell you for sure, Rachel, for any good private primary school right now, you are paying for a child over 100,000 naira. Forget about excursion, forget about other convention and all of that. Forget about those ones. Their own prices are different. This is just for the teachers and all of that. But then how much do the teachers get? That is just for school. Let's not even talk about other private sectors as well. Of course, we've known a private sector that after the removal of the fuel subsidy, they had an increment in their salary automatically 200%. We had a number of banks that came out to say, okay, this is the amount we start paying as staff member because of the hardship. But how many more private sectors have done that? And that is why I'm telling you, Rachel, for sure, that I just believe that our private sector are really not helping the matter. In fact, they are making the government to be comfortable at that amount. They are not making the government to stretch and see what we can do. So, and that is why I will blame Nigerians when they say that, you know what, let our politicians maybe also take home the same amount you are saying, okay, this is the money that we should be giving. Start collecting 62,000 naira for maybe half a year. I'm even too wicked, right? 2 months or a month. And then maybe you can actually tell how much you can actually go to the market and purchase. Here we're talking about inflation. Right now, I don't know how many homes still eat rice and stew. Because as it is, tomatoes is no longer for. So right now, you can only go for the tomato paste and then maybe just make your jollof rice and we pass. So I'm just hoping that, you know what, let's be realistic. Let's live with the term. Okay, these are the things that we are facing presently. What can we do as a country? And we keep saying we've had a number of countries that because of recession, because of inflation, they have cut down their cost of governance. How far are our government willing to?
They're not going far so far.
Yet we keep having federal government sending federal government allocation. In that we have security votes that are coming in. How many governors can actually tell us for sure what they have been doing with security votes? So I'm just hoping right now, I think it's more like a charge to our governors and also to the federal government to please be considerate. People are actually bending their necks, bending their backs to do things. And I think they deserve something that they can actually go home and actually, you know, present something to their family. Imagine as a father going home and you have nothing to give your kids. So I'm just maybe becoming very passionate and emotional because it seems as if our leaders are heartless and they do not understand what people are going through. If you are also saying you need additional allowances, hardship allowance, and I do not know the hardship you're going through. So imagine the common man that has nothing whatsoever hardship allowance on his pay slip. So we just hope that our leaders, honestly, they will be considerate. And I hope that when it gets to the house, Richard, I am praying in my heart that they will be understanding and sensible. Because it will break my heart if it will get to the National Assembly and I'll be hearing an amount that will break the heart of Nigerians eventually. We do not want another hashtag EndSARS.
We don't.
Blood has already run. And I'm hoping that the government of the day will be understanding and say, you know what, we understand your pain. and we want to increase something. So let's just wait. Just like you said, we have no choice
We
than
don't.
to wait and see
Yeah.
what will be the new amount. Well, thank you so much, Rachel,
You're welcome,
for doing
sir.
this with me. All right, thank you to our viewers. Thank you also to our supporter and the production crew for making this program a success. We look forward again to being with you tomorrow. To have a great day ahead.